Years ago, I was getting my feet wet within vintage toy collecting. Now, in my childhood, I really enjoyed collecting my different toys, and I was blessed with parents who kept most of my toys safe, during my teenage, college, and early married years. I had come to a time in season in my life where my wife and I had been toting boxes of old toys around, and she asked, could we throw them out, please? I countered with, can we display them, please? She replied favorably, and we began my vintage toy collecting years, which I'm in now. I do recall a specific story early on when I was getting connected to the Facebook groups of other individuals like me, and I stumbled upon this one post that was not from an American, but he was wanting to sell high quality items for an extremely cheap price. I was not in a season to purchase any of these items, but I did feel like it was a good deal. In fact, possibly too good of a deal. I perused through the comments and I noticed a lot of other individuals kind of thinking the same way that I did, who were already trolling the Facebook post saying that the seller was a scammer who was looking to make a quick buck. Without hesitation, I jumped in headfirst as yet another troll. I saw no shame in relentlessly mocking this individual for what I was sure was a scam. In fact, by this point, dozens of other individuals were obviously doing the same thing. There was no chance in my mind that this was anything more than an obvious ploy. Now, as I mentioned, I was pretty new to the whole concept of collecting and really did not have a clear understanding to what I was even talking about. Didn't stop me. In the end, a couple of admins had to come on and delete all of our comments, including mine, and warned that our attitudes were not appropriate for the group and we needed to be more sensitive to others. I did feel chided and reprimanded, but it was kind of appropriate, maybe even needed. Now, weeks passed by and I forgot completely about this interaction. Then I saw a post after post after post of individuals who took this offer seriously, and they were receiving these extremely high quality items successfully delivered into their hands. In each post, the recipient was grateful for such a great opportunity and for a successful purchase. The seller replied to each one of them in thanks and grateful that they took him seriously, whereas so many of us who did not. Now, I admit at this point, I did have serious shame and regret. I quickly jumped onto a bandwagon without gauging the information at hand, whether my stance was even appropriate. I realized I just didn't have enough information to make the proper decisions at hand. Hey guys, and welcome to Godly Guy Stuff, a group for guys here to connect and collaborate on how we as men can have a stronger impact on our lives, and the lives of those who depend on us. Now, if you are a guy who struggles through life trying to make decisions like me and wondering how to create godly paths, hopefully not trolling on social media like I did, make sure you subscribe to be part of a place that produces content for an iron sharpens iron environment. In today's social media, interactions such as what I've described that I did myself in the opening happens far too often. Most recently, a nurse was caught on video going all Karen on a group of teenagers as they claimed she was trying to steal a rental bike from them. Thousands of individuals and millions of comments later, the nurse was thoroughly ridiculed online to the point that her employment had actually become at risk. Now, a couple of days after the event, though, a lawyer she had hired revealed that this story was not the case, and in fact, she was the individual who was the victim. Legal proceedings are actually now ongoing, and this story has not come to a conclusion at present, even though the media have moved on. Yet in both cases, there are clear examples of people making decisions without thoroughly vetting the scenario at hand. Now, for this nurse, more than likely her life is completely ruined. Instant gratification has removed our entire judicial system, and made it moot. Having the ability to create a tsunami of social negativity gives public opinion the freedom to become judge, jury, executioner with a mouse click. Truth has become irrelevant and subjective. Honestly, how did we get to this? A culture of naivete. Modern media has become a tornadic disease within our society. In the middle of the 20th century, newspaper was king. Simple printing presses from the 19th century had created empires of media moguls where millions of Americans ingested information with very little thought placed on the legitimacy and accuracy of what they were reading. Subjective foundations led to the development of rules for journalistic integrity, which for most of the 20th century had a seat at the head of the table for media in general. Yet with globalization and the internet now having a strong foothold in the 21st century, we have seen integrity removed and subjectivity reinserted to take hold of our news and information. The pendulum has swung back towards the realm of truth being removed, with a soiled substance of subjectivity and opinions now holding a tepid like rain in the vacuum created from the absence of truth. An unauthorized king has taken truth's place in today's media with a foundation in feelings and a person's mindset rather than science that can be cross-tested and confirmed. We've gone so far as to even promote untruth and applaud lies if the ultimate outcome from these actions is deemed appropriate for the objective at hand. Ideologies and strategic advantages to decimate and destroy objective reasoning have now dominated most of our society's streamlined communication practices. In other words, a lie can spread like wildfire. And if it claims a viral status, it is practically impossible to rein it back in. Once it is out in the public air, there is little to no chance of reclaiming truth. In time, of course, most news agencies will submit retractions or corrections, but the damage is done by that time and it's of little to no consequence, well, except for those who were in the wake of the lie tsunami. There is a glimmer of hope that journalistic integrity could make a comeback. I only say this because we were at this exact same location at one point in time in the past, and we had the fortitude to work through it to develop proper platforms with truth as the base. Now, whether or not that actually happens for our society obviously remains to be seen, and yes, right now it does look rather dark. But as godly men seek to present truth to all, how can we make sure that there are steps in place so we are not the part of the tsunamis destroying other lives? Creating checkpoints. In order to develop proper practices, why don't we use one of the examples listed in the introduction? The event with the nurse and the teenagers serves as a great example. Initial reports launched from social media platforms, so we obviously see a one-sided argument was presented, and every viewer is presented with a challenge. Do I believe the story? Now, for a large portion of society, the immediate answer was yes, and proceeded to click share to send the story forward to others. Less than 1 second later, the viewer's thoughts and mind had obviously just scrolled on to the next piece of information at hand. We all know how it works. Our first challenge for this week is the crucial component of these scenarios. Develop a hindrance to react. As mentioned in previous videos, we are the chosen of men. This choice does not raise us in any level beyond others, and therefore, we have the same issues and problems to deal with as every other man or woman on earth. We have the same urges and temptations to jump the gun in decisions. Some would deem this to be kind of hot-headed, a kind of hot-headed frame of mind. Technology has broken down any cultural hindrances that we once had, and we have far more freedom in making rash decisions today than in previous generations. Christian men must have a spiritual instinct to not act impulsively, Now, the foundation of this instinct can actually be seen in John chapter 16, verse 13. But when He, the Spirit of truth, comes, He will guide you into all the truth, for He will not speak on His own initiative, but whatever He hears, He will speak, and He will disclose to what is to come. Now, in this passage, we see a Christian waiting for instructions. At the proper time, the Spirit of truth reveals the proper direction in which the Christian is to move. Now, if we add this verse to our scenario with the nurse, this verse demonstrates the hindrance that is needed in our lives today. This concept of adding a pause where an impulsive share has been the norm would be a daily challenge for a time to add this back into our frame of mind for anyone. It is this missing piece in our lives that allows for the proper path to present itself in time. As with our scenario, the revelation that the one-sided information was not just inaccurate, but a lie. Now, this would have drastically altered this outcome and the consequences for everyone involved. As a godly guy, are you weak in this area? If not, do you have daily patterns in life that mimic what we see here? Well, let's move on. For the godly guy, when a decision has been revealed, now how do we know it's from God? How do we know that this response is not led by man or our personal desires? Well, the answer is in the next two verses in John chapter 16. He will glorify me, for He will take of mine and will disclose it to you. All things that the Father has are mine. Therefore I said that He takes of mine and will disclose it to you. Any decision that has an ultimate glorification of Jesus Christ is the appropriate path. We can have confidence in the steps we take if those steps are to give glory to God. Therefore, our impulsive desire to share information will greatly be altered by decisions that are based in these verses. And once we have overcome this difficult hurdle, the second challenge actually becomes much easier. Make decisions based in what Christ discloses to you. Now, do you want a successful pathway forward with a confidence unlike anything you have potentially had in your life? If you want to understand how you can look into an unknown world and still also have a peace of mind that goes beyond understanding, secure these challenges into your daily life. And as I have mentioned before, if you haven't figured it out yet, that doesn't mean that your decisions necessarily give you any additional foresight on what actually will happen. But you are given a hopeful anticipation, knowing that what is in store will be of Christ. So how could that not be an exciting concept? Wrap up. Godly men make godly decisions. Begin taking steps into your slice of society based on the motives of Christ Himself. We are fully aware that the tools and strategies coming from our culture have been developed to prime us for making the wrong decisions. It's time to make a change to correct these pathways. Now, this typically is not easily accomplished, and of course, there will need to be a season of adjustment. When it comes to social media, that adjustment, you have options available for you. Beyond simply walking away from social media accounts for a season, you can begin to take steps in other directions, beyond concepts of boycotts and digital diets. Now, here what I'm mentioning is Gab. On many times, this is the reason for that. Gab is a prime example of an option available to you to reset your digital lifestyle. If you haven't done already, try making that adjustment today with these types of challenges. Now it's your turn. All right, what did I miss today? How do you make decisions in your life, in your social media practices, in some other major area that I didn't discuss today? Making decisions can be easier with this process. Yet, obviously, it would be foolish to not think that Satan wouldn't also come after you stronger because you're developing a pathway that glorifies God. So with these proper decisions being made, you need to understand the foundations that are laid for godly guy stuff prayer and patience, they're going to solidify and lead to understanding even when the stronger attacks come against you. Now, let me know in the comments how you fight against this daily. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for listening throughout the entire video. Please. And definitely follow me or subscribe to the Godly Guy Stuff group on Gab. Gab is the launching headquarters, of this content that's produced for Godly Guy Stuff. So if you're watching this on another platform, on Facebook, on Twitter, YouTube, wherever, you're missing a lot more content. There's also a Godly Guy Stuff Locals community where I post content for upcoming videos occasionally. Things that you might not know about, videos, sneak peeks, and I'm hoping a deeper personal connection with myself. And of course, future casting of upcoming ideas. So if you want to see what is currently being worked on, you go to Gab. For upcoming topics, head on over to Locals. Now, links are in the descriptions. I look forward to talking to you and having the conversation continue. Thanks.